Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes it's important to acknowledge when you're wrong. I'm not going to do that immediately in this video. I'm a very proud soul, but I am going to question myself just a little bit. I have already taken out the 3-star version of buffed up Phoenix into 5.1.6, as we always do on this channel, but we have since then all picked up 7-star versions, and I said in that video some things that might have implied some doubt about this character, right? I felt that she was a bit fragile, that I had to do things in a very particular way, otherwise the damage falls off, and I stand by that, right? If I don't throw off my SP1s and then my SP2s in a very particular order and then make sure I don't go to SP3, then I'm not going to be having a particularly good time with Phoenix. And while that is still true, I hope in this video we're going to explore a little more of her utility and hopefully show that she is a bit more than an Arnim Zola counter, right? If I'm wrong, then she's more than an Arnim Zola counter, but you know, we'll see. We'll explore some arguments, some counter arguments as this video goes on. But this video, this footage here is just a bit of a refresher on the rotation. So 3 SP1s, you get your Furies, then you chuck off an SP2. Now I have my Cosmic Flame, and that means that the opponent is dealt massive DOT damage on top of all the Furies and the armor breaks coming together to make my basic attacks hit like an absolute freight train. And this is a 7-star rank 1 version of Phoenix, unawakened. This is everything a free-to-play player could have right now, and that was Captain Marvel down in just over 70 seconds. Not so bad, right? She's not the most flashy, most impressive Cosmic Champion to ever exist, and that does make me worry about her future in this hyper-competitive meta right now. But let's showcase a little bit more of her utility. This Yondu, this is some legendary difficulty of Crucible, has about 850,000 health, which is very impressive, but he also has this Super Masochism node. Obviously, you know how Masochism works, you apply debuff, he heals, but that timer actually gets refreshed and increased whenever I knock him down, so I have easy access to a heavy attack. Now that design is supposed to cook Arnim Zola, as you know, if you land hits into Zola's block, or if you hit Zola, he gains those charges, and when he hits 20, you hit him, he puts you to sleep, and then he smacks you. Not very nice. You need to knock him down with a heavy attack. Now this is easy. This is most easily done when you have access to a heavy attack chain from your combo, like Phoenix does. But it also means you can just knock all opponents down very, very easily. It's not just Arnim Zola, it's not exclusive to him. And what that means is this Super Masochism timer is essentially turned off after the first few knockdowns. Now I have my Cosmic Flame open, I'm about to chuck off another SP2, and now you can see it's basically going to last the rest of the fight. I have 6 out of 9 of my Furies, not bad, not all the damage in the world, but remember, 850,000 health, I get clipped there. And the rest of this Yondu, I have 8 armor breaks on him, but this Yondu is going to go down pretty quickly. Now I've got that ramp going. Unfortunately, there's no sort of like ramp up across a quest. You do have to start from scratch with Phoenix every single fight. She's not a ramp up champion. You just have to do the ordinary ramp in the fight instead of between fights. But yeah, that Yondu went down in 90 seconds, 850,000 health. I know we had class advantage, but that was a tricky node for some champions. Big health pool taken down very competently thanks to utility that's designed to take Arnim Zola, but can tackle other things as well. Let's look at this quest. I believe I took Okoye into this quest in a video a while back, but basically what happens is all of these opponents are geared to gain lots of armor ups, and when they have an armor up effect, they go unblockable, which is nasty. But on each hit of a heavy attack, she applies an armor break to the opponent. Now what this is supposed to do in the context of Arnim Zola is obviously he has his cowardice whenever you throw off a special attack, so you need to do damage in other ways. So what the armor break does is it helps increase your basic attack damage, and that is another way that Phoenix deals enormous damage. But it does remove armor ups. It does remove armor ups. So in the context of this quest, you can see there he goes unblockable. Not anymore. Right now it's gone. Now I can chuck off my SP2. I have 9 of my Furies, baiting out the SP2 from my Iron Patriot. And you can see here, now I'm just chucking off heavies. I've got 5 of them. Those crits, over 30k on each of those heavy. I know we have class advantage, but I'm going to showcase another fight from this quest as well against the Heimdall, which is a bit chunkier, a bit tougher. And yeah, you can see that DOT, not to be sniffed at, and he goes down in 50 seconds. Right, okay, this is Act 7.1, the equivalent of a 6-star rank 4 and a little bit more. Right, that is roughly the level of power that a newer player can expect to have in today's meta coming into 7.1. And yeah, no, we're going to go up against this Heimdall now, and this is a bit bigger health pool and certainly a tougher opponent. Heimdall, very, very tricky. But you're going to see in this fight, I believe, a nice piece of utility against Heimdall. When he has that armor up, he has an unblockable SP2 and also undexable. He was kind of the precursor to Serpent, and you're going to see he will actually reach an SP2, I believe, in this fight, and because of that armor break, we're going to be able to block it, and we're going to survive. So yeah, here, the biggest thing about Heimdall is just having to bait out SP1s, but you can see there, I push him to 2 bars of power, and yet, because of my armor break, I can just parry it, and everything's fine. I actually don't think he had an armor up on him, but still, no matter. We showcased the utility nonetheless. Now I have my Cosmic Flame active. I may have to activate another one in this fight, actually. And something I missed, actually, from my 3-star video was I said that, oh my god, now I'm locked at an SP1 as I get smacked. And if I throw that SP1, I'm going to go straight to SP3. That's true, but you could just wait for the flame to expire. My Furies aren't going anywhere, so I still have all my damage. All I need to do is work my way up to an SP2. Naturally, chuck that off again, and suddenly I'm back in my damage phase, so it's nothing serious, right? And I miss that. That's something you don't appreciate if you don't have a lot of time to play a champion, get the content out. Now I've had time to look at Phoenix, and yeah, you see here, we push him to an SP2, and he actually does go unblockable, which is quite scary, but thanks to her Cosmic Flame damage, that DOT, he goes down. Nothing serious. Right, so how fast was that? Just under 90 seconds, just over 80 seconds. Not so bad. Again, that was a bigger health pool, no class advantage. This is another path fight, I believe, in later Act 7. So this guy's got 500,000 health. 530k is chunky, and he's got Aspect of War, right? So this is quite a difficult lane. There are very few champions that can deal with this lane completely, right? The opponent goes unstoppable and unblockable at a certain point in the fight. You have no block proficiency for the first part of the fight. So this is really, you know, a lane that relies on the skill of the player. But if you have a Phoenix lying around, if you like playing Phoenix, can she handle these lanes that are just generally tough? Right, these are just nasty lanes. You can see there, he's going to go unstoppable for a while. I don't have a way of getting around unstoppable, but can I hit hard enough to end this fight before everything gets out of control? Right, he will go unblockable at some point, and that's going to be annoying. You can see here, I now have all of my Furies. I activate my SP2, and I am going to bait out an SP2 here. He's going to go unstoppable, but that's fine. I know that if my Cosmic Flame expires, I can just chunk off my SP2 and regain it naturally. There is actually parry vulnerability as well, so I am hitting slightly harder after parries. But you can see they're using a shallow intercept to get that opening against Black Panther. Here, I'm going to chuck off a heavy attack, deals enormous damage. And I think, yep, we chuck off the SP2. See, I'll rocket to an SP3, and then chuck off the SP2 again. I reactivate my Cosmic Flame, and now again I'm going to have to deal with this unstoppable, but the fight's about to be over. It hasn't gotten out of hand. Yes, he did go on unblockable and unstoppable, but alright, he chucks the heavy attack, we get that opening, and look, I'm going to extend this heavy charge, really drag out that energy damage, and then you can see Black Panther goes down. So that was 500,000 health, Aspect of War, just under 90 seconds from a 7-star rank 1. That's absolutely fine. Am I going to show another one of these fights? I believe I am, against Red Guardian here. So Red Guardian, a little bit of smaller health pool, but this is a very clean fight here, and something I'm actually going to be able to showcase is her regen. So her regen, when her Phoenix Force expires, you can see there, she gains a little bit of a regen. Now that is useful when you get smacked, which happens when you have a skill issue, which I do quite a lot, as I'm sure you can imagine. And you can see there, I try and punish his SP1 before it ends, and, well, I get smacked like I deserve. Now, we are going to have a little bit of willpower to help us out here, because that lowers the debuff, but you can see here, that healing certainly contributing to getting me back up to like 95%, 95% plus, and I think, you can see there, more regen getting activated. We're going to end this fight at a full yellow bar. So yeah, you can take a bit of an SP1 to the face, and you might still end the fight at close to, if not at, 100% health, thanks to the regen of the Phoenix. And you can see here, activating our Cosmic Flame. He hasn't quite gone unblockable yet, but you can see here, this guy's got a little bit less health, but he is still going down pretty quickly now. You see, when I stand close to him, that DOT is pretty damn strong. Now, is he unblockable? I think he is, because I'm backing up against the wall. I'm going to do the shallow intercept against the wall. Very nice trick to learn if you haven't already. Here I'm going to run in, land that stand-up intercept, and yeah, we're just going to extend this heavy charge. Look at that DOT, chucking off the SP2, I reactivate my Cosmic Flame, and this guy's as good as dead. Land the light stack intercept, and we end the fight at 100% health. Not so bad. 75 seconds, I'll take that, right? So Phoenix is certainly versatile enough to take on those sorts of just generically tough nodes, and yes, her utility that primes her to tackle Heimdall, also allows her to take other matchups where, you know, you want that knockdown utility, you want that armor break utility. But this fight, I believe, kind of exposes some of her weaknesses. Because this fight is an interesting case of kind of like a reverse Arnim Zola. If you think about Arnim Zola, you need to deal damage outside of your special attacks. Because of his cowardice, all your damage needs to come from basic combos or DOT, somewhere other than special attacks, and Storm Pyramid X has a great chance to glance all the damage you deal outside of your special attacks. So you need special damage, which is something that Phoenix has next to none of. And I've put this on 1.5 speed, for a reason. Yes, this fight was from Act 8, but I also had to do the path fights to get here, and I'll tell you what, they were a lot smoother than this one, and this fight really exposes the fact that, yes, Phoenix is a strong champion. The utility she has to tackle Arnim Zola does carry on into other scenarios, and she is capable of taking on generally tough lanes. But when she meets one of her weaknesses, oh boy. Right, you know, every champion has weaknesses, and I shouldn't hold that against her. But her weaknesses are genuinely just roadblocks. Like, Incinerate immunity, goodbye damage. Tenacity, any sort of debuff duration reduction, goodbye. Fights like Rogue, fights like Agent Venom, a lot of skill champions. An example of a Cosmic champion who encountered that problem but got around it was Beta Ray Bill. Yes, he relies on DOT, but it's all passive for a good reason. And it's a reason that Phoenix certainly encounters whenever she tries to take on a skilled champion. And yeah, you can see here, when you rely on special attack damage, you're not going to get anywhere. But I am going to showcase the utility from the Immortality. I chucked off the SB3 to gain the charge, and then I pushed Storm to an SB3 just to flex. And you can see here, it instantly wiped me out, but now I am regenerating. The only downside to that is now I have to restart my entire ramp, which is a little bit frustrating. I don't like that. But we are going to end the fight just like so. So yeah, that's my revisit of the buffed up version of Phoenix. And I suppose, was I wrong? Maybe. Maybe. She is certainly more than just a Zola counter. She's able to tackle a lot of tough nodes. And I think whipping her out as a 7-star has certainly helped me understand, you know, where the damage comes from, what it feels like to actually have a powerful Phoenix. But doing this video has also shown me that I was right about her weaknesses. They are very hard and fast, and when she encounters them, she's going to have an awful lot of problems. She's not like, for example, Yelena Belova, right? Yelena Belova relies on bleed burst damage, but if she encounters a bleed immune, she replaces that with direct damage. And she doesn't have any sort of safety net like that. You either work with Phoenix or you don't work with Phoenix. But yeah, if you have made it this far, then congratulations. You have an attention span longer than a goldfish. Go away.